Alright, what we're going to be working on is one of these, this nice little Canjo. I found a lot of videos about them, but not really anything on how to help you build one. It's really very simple, it's very, very basic, but with no details, you kind of get lost in the system. So this is actually the second one I made. We're going to walk through the whole process right from the beginning. So what I need to start with is a piece of hardwood. It really has to be hardwood. Softwood doesn't hold the frets in, and even if you're not using frets, it doesn't sand as nice and finished and smooth as hardwood does. So this is a piece of maple, 24 inches long. The more I learn about these, the more I find that it doesn't have to be quite 24 inches long, but we'll get to that after a while. So this end here I've cut an angle off of. This angle is 22.5 degrees. It's one of the notch settings on the chop saw that I use. So that's half of 45 is 22.5. So I just chop that off. I actually put it into the saw and mark it to 22.5 and just hack it right off right there. So that's that. Oh, I should tell you what I'm going to do with that. In the end, I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it on the other side. And that actually creates a flat spot right here, and I'm going to mount my tuner in there. I've got a tuner sitting here, so I'm going to mount my tuner in there, and you can see it's got to be thinned out just a little bit, but that's how that's going to all work out. So the next thing I've got is another piece. Is about 10-11 inches long, and that's still a little long, but this is scrap from something else I was working on. So in that piece, what we're going to do is we're going to cut the can profile out of this shorter piece, and then we're going to glue it to the bottom of the fretboard. So it's going to end up something like that. So I've got my next piece here. To the miracle of television, I actually already did that, but I have templates drawn out for the cans I've been using. This one is actually for a 24-ounce Mountain Dew can. It's a nice tall size. This will be the first 24-ounce can I made. That first one was a 12-ounce can, and the very first one I made was a steel can, which doesn't have the sound I was really looking for. So we're going to take this and run with it. So I have my shorter piece. This is the piece that's 11 inches about, and I put check marks down here on this end and alignment marks. And what I have to do is line the end and align the top edge, and that gives me everything I need. And then I take my Sharpie or my pencil or whatever and just draw right along the cardstock that I made my profile template out of, and that gives me a nice dark edge. And when I go to the workshop, I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to use the scroll saw that's in our shop. We actually picked it up at a tag sale for like $10 or something. But you don't have to use scroll saw. You can use a jigsaw, you can use a band saw. If you're patient, you can use the hand model coping saw. Any of those will work just fine. So we're going to be cutting that out here in just a little bit. And we're off to the workshop. For those of you that are not in the Northeast, this is like the 27th of January. We're under a blizzard warning until tomorrow. But so long as I can see the barn, then I don't really care. I'll walk to the barn. That's where the shop is. Unfortunately, the shop is not heated, so we won't take a long time. So we'll get back to you when we get in there. All right, let's get right to it. We're going to go ahead and cut out this can contour. This is my Delta 15-inch scroll saw, so I can definitely cut all the way through. I'm going to cut a little bit this way, and then I'm going to cut it all from the other end. If you see smoke, it's not smoke. It's 12 degrees outside I'm breathing. So let's go. Hey, we got that cut. It needs just a little bit of fine tuning. I'm gonna go over to the sander and we'll fine tune it. All right, so this is my my $20 Harbor Freight belt sander. It's a 1" by, I don't care, it's cheap. We're gonna fix a little bit of this contour, make sure can fits in. Let's see. That looks like the wrong can. Let's try this one. That looks like that fits in there okay. I'm gonna sand a little bit down here at the bottom. Can you see that? Where it's not, there's a, it doesn't fit quite right. I'm gonna clean that up. I'm getting closer, but I'm not quite there. Looks like a good fit. I'm gonna go with that. Alright, we're back inside now, and no, this isn't the piece I just cut out. Of course, that'll be cut out tomorrow. So anyway, this is a piece of mahogany, still hardwood. This was actually scrapped from a guitar factory. Make sure you keep this inside piece. We're actually going to shorten it a little bit, but that'll get screwed inside the can, and that's going to help us secure the inside of the can so that the can doesn't wobble around or twist or anything like that. But right now what we need to do is get a couple of measurements down. This is a piece of mahogany. This just happened to be how long it was. This is 30 inches, or was, tip to tip. No sense cutting 6 inches off of it early and then having to cut more off or whatever. So I cut my 22.5 degree angle. I've got my other piece that I am going to glue to the back, and that gives me my place so I can mount a tuner. But right now I need to make a couple of measurements. The first thing that I need to measure is I need to make sure I have 15.5 inches from the nut. The nut is actually going to go right up here. I'll show you on my finished one. The nut on here I have it as a piece of fret wire. So this one, I don't know if you can tell on the video, is a little bit taller and a little bit wider than the next one down. So this one is the nut and it holds the string up. And that's one option if you happen to have the fret wire. But then this is my prototype. This is my softwood model, and it didn't work out in the end. It has a terrible fret buzz. And these flat-headed screws are great because you can adjust the height of the nut just by unscrewing this a half a turn or a whole turn or whatever you need. Just use the slotted head, the flathead machine screws, sheet metal screws, and put them in there. But you still need the measurement 15.5 inches at least before you start losing dimension down here. So that 15.5 inches is from the nut to the 10th fret. So that's what I'm concerned about. So that's what I'm going to measure first. So my 15.5 inches brings me down to here. And that's cool. And then the second number that I'm going to need, once that's at 15.5, we can leave that there. But the second number I need is 24.5 inches. And 24.5 inches is from the nut to the bridge. And what that is called is the scale length, or the VSL, vibrating string length. And the vibrating string length tells you where your instrument's going to play. I actually took a fretboard of an old guitar and I measured its scale length, which was 24.5, and then I took the fretboard off. And I know where the nut is, and I measured out the frets, and I use this to mark on my boards that I fret. You don't have to fret at all. You need a nut and you need a bridge, but after that, everything is optional. The one I was playing in at the beginning, that one's fretted. It has 10 frets on it, plus the nut, so that makes 11 slots in it. So I need the bridge, which is in the bottom of the can. The base of the can is what's going to be the bridge. And I need from the base of the can to the nut to be 24.5 inches. So the base of the can is about right where the shoulder of the can is, right here. So that's what I use to measure it. And you've got to be really close, otherwise the intonation won't be quite right. But it's not rocket surgery, so don't mess over it too bad unless you're going to, you're going to go rock out somewhere in a concert and millions of people are going to see you play, like on YouTube or something. But without that being said, 24 inches, 24 and a half inches is where I need the bottom of the can to be. So I can set these side by side. I actually need to set that this way. And then my 24 and a half, I can get set up, and that goes right to the curve on the bottom of the can. And now I can come up here and I can mark that with a triangle, and I'm going to do a couple so I understand where I'm at. Now what that has given me is now I know where I can cut my neck at. This is my 15 and a half inch mark, which I have to keep. So somewhere after that I can cut it off. So that's after that, so I can come off and I can cut just like that. And whatever angle that is, which kind of looks like, how would I do that? I don't know, 30-degree angle. I'm going to put that on the chop saw and I'm going to wing it. And whatever that angle is, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to make a second one, so that looks nice and fluid, like this one does. You see how that looks like it kind of comes down and it's the same thickness until it gets to the can? That's really what I want. I'm just wanting it to look good. And here's another one. You can see I scribbled on it. It's got that nice smooth contour. Yeah, it's bigger here, it's chunkier, but this is also one of those 24-ounce cans. I wanted it to be a little beefier, and I haven't done any sanding or finish work on this one. This is actually going to be a 2-string model. It's not going to be the single-string Canjo. It'll be a double-string Canjo. So that'll be exciting. We'll work on that during this process. So I'm going to go back out to the shop and I'm going to make those cuts, and we're going to come back in here and we're going to move on to the next step. How's that sound?